are standing in front of the monument called the Excelsior Monument. This monument is dedicated to the New York infantry, and the leader of that infantry at the time on this battlefield was General Dan Sickles. Now, I don't know if you guys know a lot about Dan Sickles, but I will fill you in. He's a very interesting character. Now, if you notice, there's a disc in the middle of this monument. A bust of his head was supposed to be put on there. Now, the reason it wasn't put on the monument is because at the time, Dan Sickles, after this battle, was the head of the Monument Association. So being the head of the Monument Association at the time, he is also the treasurer of the Monument Association. Money was donated for him to buy a bust of himself and put it in this monument. But instead, he took the money, went to the bar, and drank the money away. Now, for doing that, he was no longer the member of the Monument organization. And when they asked him why he did it, you know, and didn't take care of this monument like he was supposed to, he said, "I didn't need to." He goes, "The whole damn battlefield of Gettysburg is my monument." Now, off in the distance, we see what's known as the Peach Orchard. Dan Sickles tried to take his troops from this base of the Little Round Top for higher ground, which was this position. But he disobeyed a direct order from his commander, George Gordon Meade, who was the overall commander here of the Northern Army at the time. He thought that if he took his unit forward to the Peach Orchard, it was better grounds to go up against Longstreet's attack on the second day of the battle. But what he didn't know is that he would leave a gap in the famous fishhook formation, almost causing devastation to the Union, because if that line was able to be broke through by the Confederate Army, it would have changed the tide of the war, because the Confederates would have taken the high ground and might have won this battle. Now, Dan Sickles was never punished for this movement. Instead, after his death later on, after the war, he was given the Congressional Medal of Honor for his battlefield tactics here on the Battle of Gettysburg. They assumed and figured that he was just doing a bold movement to try to better the outcome of the battle. Now, we are going to now move on to the location where Dan Sickles was wounded, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that and a little more history of Dan Sickles. This is our next stop, the Trossel Farm. Now, this area right here is Dan Sickles' headquarters. Now, from the Peach Orchard, Dan Sickles' army got pushed back to this position. Way off in the distance there is the Excelsior Monument, along with the Peach Orchard. The interesting thing about this barn is, if you notice the big hole at the top of the barn, hope you can see that, that is a 12-pound cannonball hole that's still visible today. Right here is what that projectile looked like. So from here, we're going to go back and show you the position of where Dan Sickles was wounded. So follow me and I'll take you to that position. Now, as you can see, we're walking up this trail beside the Trossel Farm. Trossel Farm is to my right. General Dan Sickles was standing up here at this little monument about this position. That is where he was wounded. As he was standing there, a 12-pound cannonball struck his leg, and his leg was torn off his body. Now what he did is he had that leg put in a wooden coffin and mailed to Maryland to the medical museum to have preserved. Now later on in life, after this battle and through his whole life, he would sometimes go and visit his leg and brag about losing it at the Battle of Gettysburg. So this is the monument showing the position he was at when he was wounded. A little more history about Dan Sickles before we move on is Dan Sickles was the first American acquitted of murder. He pleaded temporary insanity and was released. Interesting fact is, the person he murdered was his his wife, young wife of 20-some years old, his lover. And that lover was no more than Francis Scott Key's son. Francis Scott Key, of course, is the one who wrote the song, The Star-Spangled Banner. He followed him into the streets of Washington, finding out that he was having an affair with his wife, and shot him dead. But did not only kill him, but shot him multiple times with a couple different guns. He then turned himself in a court. He had some good lawyers on his side, including Stanton, and he was acquitted of murder and became a hero because at that time he was honoring his position as a husband, and in that time it was a thing to do. And because of that, of him killing Francis Scott Key's son, they say they saved the ladies of Washington from dishonor. Interesting story and interesting man, this Dan Sickles. So continue to follow me to the next monument.